Entry Point is really one of those rare gems on Roblox where it's an actual game that's using Roblox as an engine instead of it being just another Roblox game that's just basically slop that's made to make money, which is why I'm making a video on it. So what exactly is Entry Point, though? It's a 4-player stealth shooter where you play the role of an operative and you're completing essentially what are heists for an operation group. I don't actually know the lore. I haven't watched the cutscenes since 2019, and I never actually finished the game either. And that's why I'll be taking on a challenge run. Normally, by playing the game, you can get skill points by completing missions, and well, you can spec those skill points into becoming better and better a spy, which should enable you to theoretically complete the harder and harder missions on higher and higher difficulties. I will be throwing that all out the window. Now, this isn't about if I can beat the game. It's about if I can beat it while keeping my sanity. Oh, I was done! As for rules, it's incredibly simple. All missions must be completed solo, all missions must be done stealth without raising any alarms, and I cannot allocate any skill points into the skill tree, ever. So, for a first mission, the deposit is actually fairly complicated, especially since there's a lot of baseline stuff to explain here. Our main objective is to get into the bank and take a very specific cache of information. This mission, of course being the first, took me 2 attempts over 18 minutes. You start the mission in a parking lot and you make your way over to the bank, but instead of going in, because, I mean, you can't just run into the back of the bank or sneak your way into the back of the bank, there's way too many people, you have to head around to the back where there are 2 cameras, 2 dumpsters, and a couple bags with equipment in case you are going loud, but that's not what we're doing. This is the first mechanic of the run. Disabling cameras. See, we're playing Thief, which means that we can't mess with cameras in a way that doesn't alert anyone. The guy at the guard outpost can clearly see that these cameras are off, which means that he'll likely send someone to go check on them, and that's where we get an opportunity to take guards hostage in order to get a disguise, as well as remove a certain amount of guards from the map. The back alley here has 2 cameras, which means we get to take 2 guards. And as far as I can remember, I'm pretty sure there is no way that any employees or civilians can come back here, which means that this is a safe place for you to operate. By aiming down sights and walking up to someone, you can take them hostage, and from there, meleeing them while you have your gun out, at least in stealth, makes you punch them and knock them out, allowing you to take the disguise, whereas if you had shot them or stabbed them, the disguise would be ruined and you wouldn't be able to use it. Anyways, once with our disguise, we're able to get into the building, but now there's another problem. We can't get to the vault or do anything without at least a basic level security keycard. No keycard in the break room, which means we're going to have to take someone hostage inside of the building. I already knew the best spot on this mission to do it, and it's in the stairs, because it's a controlled environment with no cameras and the area is entirely closed, as well as the fact that the bottom floor is never visited by any guard. There's a set amount of guards on the bottom floor, but they never go upstairs, and the guards that are in the main building never go downstairs, which means that leaving the body bags and the bodies of the guards in the bottom floor means that they will never be found. I slowly started taking guards hostage, hoping that one of them would eventually drop a key card and crack the safe instead of drilling it, which is where the second thing comes into play. Normally, drills are pretty useful. You can always carry a silent drill, which of course isn't heard, but is significantly slower, but the drawback is that people will notice when a door has been drilled instead of lockpicked. Now, there is a skill to counteract that available, I believe, somewhere in between the thief and hacker tree, but I can't get skills, which means that I can't really drill in all safety. Now here, I cracked the safe just because it was a little more thematic, but just know in the future the reason why I unequipped the drill is because it's taking up inventory space that could be used for mission objectives, as opposed to carrying around an item that will get me detected. Cracking the safe in the manager's office guarantees you a vault keycard, which means that we're at least one step closer here. Now, the vault keycard does not give you access to the rest of the building, only the normal one does. So I get impatient and head into the archive room to try and ID the lockbox that contains the cash that we need to get to complete the mission. Hey, we got it instantly. Okay. After doing that, I start searching the building, and I notice that it's shockingly empty, and luckily enough, the manager is in the stairwell, so... Now here's where I want to talk about the top floor. Top floor has a round 360 circular, whatever you call it, camera, okay? Those cameras, I can't disable them. That is a camera that you need an extra skill to disable, which means that these are basically invisible and will always see me until I take out the guard in the command room, which will disable all cameras and radios for the rest of the mission. No, I just realized if someone's called and there's no one... Yeah, hold on. Oh, alright, thank goodness. Finally. Okay, we'll drop him... We're conspicuous because of the bag, but I don't think there's anyone up here. We'll go to the security room, finally. Hey, buddy! Now, do note, the basement has its own security room, which means that I have a main priority, and guards downstairs will recognize me much faster because there's only 2 of them, and it's much easier to recognize someone you don't know when there's only 2 people on shift and there's a 3rd person in the basement pretending to be a guard. After knocking him out, we clear out the rest of the floor and open up the vault. But before going in, we have to make sure that the sensors are disabled, which means that we're going to be entering the nerve-wracking part of the mission, and the only reason why I didn't do it on operative, apart from the fact that the character being level 1 and it's literally not being available to me, which is the very stressful part of running to the other end of the map and breaking the transformer, which will give you a approximately 1-minute window of opportunity to get into the bank, get the item, and get out.
What can the best mechanic in LS do?
Financier is actually a very different mission than the deposit, because in the Financier, you have a limit to how many guards you can take out without people noticing. On operative difficulty, there are 7 guards, 3 of which you can knock out with no penalties, and once you've knocked out a 4th one, you have a 1-minute and 30-second timer to clear the mission, or else an alarm is sounded and you're forced to go loud, which means we only have 3 guards that we can take out. So this mission took about 4 attempts over 15 minutes. The mission goes as follows. See, the doors and windows have alarms, which means you can't open them just yet, and you have to find a power box on the outside to disable them. But you spawn in a very small area that doesn't have any guards, and you need to somehow lure guards out of their normal patrol routes in order to hostage them, knock them out, and take a disguise, which, by the way, does not work all that well, and guards will still notice you. It's simply just to be able to get around without being instantly noticed. After finding the power box and wiring it, I head back upstairs and wire the other one, because on operative difficulty, which is the difficulty I've now switched to, there are 2 boxes that you have to disable. Once disabled, I'm now able to pick my way into the building, not after getting another guard, which means we were at 2 out of 3 guards taken out. Now our objective is to get in and locate a hidden wall safe, which contains a flash drive that the fucking Kingsmen, whoever we're working for, actually want. So I run around ripping paintings off of the walls, somehow not getting noticed, until I go into his safe room, which is where the safe is. After a close call and eventually cracking the safe, I can get the flash drive and not extract just yet. See, the man who owns this building and who is currently here, his name is Ryan Ross. I don't know what's so important about him, but we have to get him out alive as per stealth rules, because if he dies, he has a dead man switch. At least I think he does. We have 2 options with Mr. Ryan Rosling over here. We can either kill him and get out of the building in under a minute in order to not trip an alarm, or take him hostage and walk him out of the building very riskily and not risk any alarms. Wow, I just realized that's really stupid. Well, that's one risk or another, and I decided to take the risk of walking him out of the building. And so after walking around the house and unlocking every door for an embarrassingly long amount of time, I'm eventually able to corner him in the kitchen with no one around and close enough to a door that I can just walk him out. And that's our second mission completed. Oh, the black site. Oh, I have a lot of stuff to say about this mission. The first two missions were pretty easy. The first one taking 2 attempts over 18 minutes, and the second one 4 attempts over 15 minutes, because I made a couple mistakes in the beginning. The black site took me, and let's just compare, right? 18 to 15, 2 to 4. The black site took me 112 attempts over 7 hours and 45 minutes. This mission was probably the hardest mission in the entire challenge. And I'm not gonna hold it, it probably was, even if the final mission is supposed to be a huge test of your abilities, this one was the hardest. See, the one thing about this mission that peeved me off two times is that the guards respawn. And also, they're not really fooled by your disguise, you're just buying yourself a little bit of time. Which means that for the most part, you are forced to sneak outside of guard vision. Did I mention they respawn? The mission is separated into 4 sections. The storage area, the restricted area, the cell block, and the commander area. You're spawned in the only area that guards don't visit in this part of the map, which is the inside of a shipping container. Now, I recommend you drop your bags, drop anything that you're not carrying, and whenever you knock out a guard, drop them in there as well. The second thing that makes this first area brutal is the fact that, on top of there being 4 or 5 cameras, there are 3 guards on the bottom floor, and 1 guard walking around the catwalk, as well as a guard in the restricted area entrance, the little overview area. Now, these cameras, they can be disabled, it will lure a guard, but the camera operator is in the 3rd section of the map. And here comes the next mechanic. You could only disable a limited amount of cameras until the guards notice and trip an alarm. Which means that I have to disable as least many cameras as I can, because in my experience, 5 or 6 usually does the trick and has you pressing escape, R, and enter. The storage area's gameplay is pretty simple. If I saw a camera in front of the shipping crate, the run was basically dead, but I wouldn't reset because I wanted all of my attempts to be honest ones and I didn't want to just reset for good RNG. If there's a camera next to the shipping crate, now that's a different story because it lets you take a guard for free, albeit costing you your 1 radio call. Attempting to answer any other radio will set an alarm, and these guards, oh my goodness, they are trigger happy with their radios. If they are investigating anything, which is something I'll go on later, they pull out the radio. If they are mildly suspicious of anything, they pull out the radio. If you hold them up a little too late, they pull out the radio. And this mission is the first one where I actually killed guards because I couldn't get to them in time before they pulled out their radio. Anyways, to clear out the storage room and get a key card from at least one of the guards, which isn't guaranteed to drop, but since they respawn, it's not a huge deal. And then you have to head upstairs and go into the overlook room while the guard on the catwalk isn't looking and knock out the guard on the inside. Now, that area is restricted, which means that your disguise won't work. You're not allowed in there. You're not high enough rank or something, I don't know. But luckily there's a chest to hide the body, which is a rare win, at least in this instance. Now, the next area is a set of hallways that is also a restricted area and has about 3 guards in it, as well as a couple cameras, which makes this place a living hell, especially since some of the cameras can just completely block a route through the area, forcing you to take a different one. Now, these halls are fairly easy to travel through, especially since there's side areas that guards just never go into. Through my 100 attempts, I was able to find certain angles and certain spots where I could put body bags without guards noticing through some sort of level of bullshittery. After completing the restricted area, you then have to enter the cell block, which is a test. Cell block has about 2 cameras in it and 3 guards, one of which is the camera operator, which will finally shut down the cameras in the first area, not that we need them anymore, and not like the next area doesn't have its own camera operator. Okay, I'm getting that. So, you need to knock out all 3 guards in here to advance the mission. Fortunately, the guards usually have each other within line of sight, and the camera operator is always in line of sight of at least one of the 2 guards. As well as the fact that the cameras cover pretty much the entire room. God bless, they actually have good camera placement, which leaves 1 spot in the entire room, which is inside of the little area under the camera room, which you can ambush, take out a guard, and then carry the bag over to a box that is conveniently placed in the corner of the room. God bless. Even if it wasn't, the little area leading up to the cell block, which is in between the corridor and the cell block, is guard-free. There are no guards in there, and you can do basically whatever you want without being noticed, except being loud, because the guards will still hear you. Once all 3 guards are taken down, you have to figure out which cell that the person you're rescuing, Rose, is in, which, if you are an engineer or pick the Firebug perk, which, once again, no perks, you're able to just kind of make a small hole inside of each door, and you're able to figure out which one has Rose in it. But in my case, I had to sit there and open basically every single door and hope that Rose was inside. The door is taking quite a while. Now's a good time to say that I'm incredibly lucky and super grateful that there is no guard timer on this mission, because I don't think I'd be recording this right now. I don't think I'd be through the voiceover yet. I think I'd still be doing the black site. I probably would have given up by then, let's be real. Anyways, after rescuing Rose, it's time to get her out of the building through the 4th section, the commander area. So from here, you have to find and interrogate the base commander, who is an elite NPC in an area with about 5 other guards. Now, this is a pretty big area, so the guards are split fairly well, and it's very easy to get the commander alone in a room with no cameras. And one thing led to another. We knock out the commander, get the code, authorize a landing with a helicopter, and walk Rose out, and finally clear this hell of a mission. So the withdrawal was a much easier mission compared to the black site, and took me 6 attempts over the course of 50 minutes. So this mission is somewhat similar to the withdrawal in the fact that you're robbing a bank and you have to do all the preparatory stuff, but this time the way you get in is quite different. The mission starts you off inside of the alley this time, and unfortunately there are no cameras to break here, which means you're going to need a guard outfit in a different way. See, the strategy here is something I like to call luring. It's a trick where you get your detection meter, which is, when people see you, they start to detect you, and once that meter reaches max, they'll properly notice you, and call an alert. If you're able to get that meter up to 75%, and then break line of sight, that person will investigate the area. And so by breaking the ladder down, and climbing up onto an area where I'm not supposed to be, and with a guard that always spawns in that window, I'm able to bring him up to 75% detection and lure him into the alleyway, giving me a way into the building without having to mess around with pulling out my gun in a public area or trespassing. So the first objective of the mission is to search the server room and figure out what the name of an important client is. But since most of these locked rooms are randomized, I'm able to find the control room first, which also has the green circuit box, keep that in mind. And so I'm able to neutralize cameras from the get-go, which is an absolutely amazing upgrade because cameras in this map are everywhere. So knocking them out early was a great decision. It also nets me a key card, which I'm able to then use to get into the server room later on. Not before picking every lock in the map to try and find a good spot to hide bodies or the server room. Now the thing with these closed rooms is that you're not allowed in, which means that you're considered trespassing while you're inside of them. Which means guards will go up to 50% detection and it will begin a timer, where you have 5 seconds to leave the trespassing area, or else you will be detected and the guards will be alerted. At least that's the case in the withdrawal. I'm not sure about other missions because trespass mechanics rarely ever come into play. Once we get inside and search the computer, we're able to figure out which box we have to disable in order to get rid of the metal detectors, allowing us to, of course, bring a gun into the vault. Now this time I got the blue one, which means the green one I noticed earlier is actually not important. So the next objective is, of course, to search for and eventually rewire the blue power box, which was in a fairly open area next to the vault room door, but with a little bit of luck in people not coming around, I was able to fully rewire it, and now it's time to get ready for the final section. So instead of just, stealing a card, stealing a code, and walking in, since the manager is the only person with the code and card, and everyone would notice once he's gone, since this isn't a small-time bank, we're going to be using a disguise, impersonating a rich man, walking up, getting him to lead us to the bank, taking him hostage, knocking out the guards, and then gaining access to the inside of the vault. And since we disabled the right power box, sensors are off, the metal detectors are off, and we have free range over said vault room. But there is a camera in there, and if I hadn't disabled the camera room earlier, I would have been alerted. Now for the tedious part that, I kid you not, packed on an extra 9 minutes to the mission. It only took 5 to get into the vault, and then another 9 to get all the money. Normally in a team of 4, one of you is an engineer, and you can bypass the sensors on the emergency exit to allow you to head through it, and quickly exfiltrate with all 6 bags of money. But because I'm playing a thief, I don't have access to that, which means I have to somehow stealthily leave the building from inside of the vault with 6 large bags of money. But after spending 9 minutes grabbing each and every single bag and slowly walking them around all the way over to the van, I completed the mission with no other issues.
You're too...
Moving on to Mission 5, the lake house was a significant jump up in difficulty, taking me about an hour and a half over 21 attempts. In this mission, you're tasked with infiltrating the house of a rich millionaire and stealing on whatever's on his hard drive in the basement. Guards in this mission always have their walkies out and can't be intimidated by bullets, which means that you have to knock them out or else they will sound the alarms. And you have to answer the radio or else they'll sound the alarms. Note that I only have 1 radio call, which means I can knock out a total of 1 guard in this mission. That is until I neutralize the command room. Now this mission also has quite a bit of RNG, as in there is an electrical box that you have to open and mess with to enter the building, just like in the Financier, except that the electrical box will unlock one of the doors on the building, and the electrical box can be pretty much anywhere on the outside of the building, either right next to spawn or entirely around the entire entrance of the building. So things are going to be pretty difficult for this mission. After quite a few attempts, I figure out that climbing over the top fence in the middle, which is not electric for some reason, is probably the best play because the chances that there's a camera in the front are very slim, and even then you can utilize the camera to do the 75% method and lure a guard out. The bushes also serve as excellent cover when you're trying to drag around bodies, because guards don't check the inside of bushes and they also don't patrol in the areas behind the bushes. So after taking out our 1 guard until the operation room is completely removed, we're able to search the exterior of the building until we find the electric box. Eventually we get it wired at 1 minute 50, and one of the guards is already on his walkie-talkie because he thinks we're suspicious. But that doesn't matter because now we have our way inside of the building. Now once inside the building, we have to open the blast door that leads to the basement. Something tells me that this guy does not want his basement searched. Anyways, we need a code and a key card. Gotta love that. The key card is findable on the guard captain, who is one of the random guards in the mission. About 5 minutes in, I'm able to get into the camera room and interrogate the guard to figure out who's the captain, as well as neutralize the cameras, which will allow me to knock out guards without creating more walkie-talkie issues. Once that's done, I single out the head of security, knock him out, and grab the key card. Now all that's left is to get the code, which I'm eventually able to get at about 7 minutes and 40 seconds. With all that, I head into the basement and open the time lock in about 8 minutes. 8 minutes and 30 seconds, I start searching the computer. It's at this point that you're notified that a convoy that was detected to be on its way in about 5 minutes is not with Phoenix, which are the people that you're currently raiding. They're with the Steel Cove, which I still have no clue what's going on. Anyways, the computer searching will still take another minute. So as I sit around and wait, the clock strikes 10 minutes, and this mission on operative difficulty has a 9 minute and 50 second completion timer before an alarm is instantly triggered. But that timer is actually less than 8 minutes. Since searching the computer will take about a minute and 20 seconds, and the time lock to enter the server room takes about 30 seconds, you can shave off about 2 minutes from that timer, which is pretty brutal. All of this resulting in you needing to be into the basement by 7 minutes and 30 seconds tops, or else you're not making it out without triggering an alarm. Let's actually cut to the proper winning attempt. So starting the mission, I run forward, lower guard with the 75% method, and luckily the circuit box is right next to the entrance, which allows me to start working at it while the guard is on his way back to me. After getting my suit and going into the building, the first room that I open is actually the camera room, which allows me to not only disable the cameras and radios, but allows me to get to the guard captain much faster. To balance out this luck though, it did take all 3 files to get the code, but I was able to beeline towards the door after that. With the door open at 5 minutes and 45 seconds, and after clearing every guard on the map, I make my way into the basement, quickly and silently, and from there sit around and wait. After a somewhat nerve-wracking 3-minute long wait session, I'm able to pick up the correct server at 8 minutes and make my way back upstairs to exit the mission. Now, like an idiot, I forgot which door I came in from, so I spent a little while struggling around the house and almost starting to panic. But luckily I got to the door in time, and left the mission at 8 minutes and 52 seconds with about a whole minute to spare. You know what is Sunny? You know what is Sunny? Today's a sunny day. Today's a great day because I just building... Time for mission number 6, The Scientist. This one pales in comparison to the lake house and the black site, only taking me about 20 minutes over 2 attempts. See, this mission is somewhat similar to the financier and the lake house, whereas you're raiding a house. This time, instead of looking for a flash drive or a server, you're looking to save a scientist who's being held hostage and being used for their research for nefarious deeds. This mission is also similar to the financier and the lake house in that you can't really take out guards willy-nilly. See, taking out any guard will start a 5-minute timer, which, once elapsed, will trigger an alarm. Taking out any subsequent guards halves that timer down to 2.5, a minute 15 seconds. You get the point. Now, this timer can be ended by taking out the control room. Also, the guards here behave pretty much the same as the guards in the lake house in that they can't be hostaged and they always pull out their radio upon being knocked out. Luckily, you start the mission with a disguise, which means you basically get 1 freebie guard before taking out the control room. The mission starts you out in an icy field outside of the building. Luckily, there are no alarms or special locks here, so you can just pick your way in. Do note, though, that leaving the door open will garner a little bit of suspicion, and the guards will close and relock the door. And it's more optimal to, leave multiple doors open to keep a lot of the guards occupied. Your first objective is to get into the basement where the safe room is, which is where the prisoner is being held. But before that, I opt in to open and unlock a lot of doors inside of the building in order to get, access to more rooms, as well as find the 2 tools, being the screwdriver and the wire cutters, that I need to get the scientist out of the room. Once I have at least the screwdriver, I'm able to get into the basement and open up the vent in the safe room, which gives me a small window into it. Now, there is a guard inside of the safe room who reports back to the control room, which means that once he's taken out, you have 5 minutes to get to the control room, and he also reports directly to the control room, which means if you take out the control room, he'll know and trigger an alarm, which means he has to be taken out first. And you also have a very small window, and I mean not even a whole second, to shoot him after opening the vent so that he can't pull out his walkie-talkie in time. Once the guard is knocked out, I decide to go out and find some wire cutters, because you need both the wire cutters and the screwdriver to get the person out of the room, and getting them out of the room will also unlock your next objective, which is to clear the entire map. Yeah, the guards don't respawn here, and there's not that many people here. There's 4 guards on the outside, 3 on the inside, 3 in the control room, 1 in the safe room who has already been knocked out, and there is Falcon, who is the leader and the last person that you want to knock out, because he basically has a dead man switch that alerts everyone once he's dead, which means you gotta make sure he dies last. So once you've opened up the room, you're able to get one of the tools back, which will give you access to the panel, which eventually puts you into the security room, which, once killing all 3 guards, gives you essentially free reign over the house to slowly but surely knock out every guard in the house, and end it off by taking out Falcon and escorting Rivera, who is the prisoner, all the way out to the exit. Alright, looks like it's time for Mission 7, the SCRS. We are officially in the end game here, and let me tell you, these missions are starting to get really tough. And not in comparison to the black site, But the SCRS did come fairly close to being one of those missions that I grinded, taking me 26 attempts over 2 hours and 50 minutes. So the SCRS mission contains a new mechanic that is also seen in the final one, which is clearance levels. See, instead of using keycards, just one keycard to access most of the map and one keycard for the vault or one specific room, you need to have a specific disguise to enter certain doors. At least for the SCRS, there are 4 levels of clearance: Janitor, Tech, Analyst, and Security. With Janitor giving you access to the first section of the map, Tech and Analyst also gives you access to most of the rest of the map, but Tech also gives you access to the server rooms which you need to enter to complete the objectives. Otherwise, you can just grab a security clearance which gives you access to everywhere except the server rooms and just hope no one sees you in there, which is exactly what the strategy we'll be doing is. So at the start of the mission, you're in an elevator hall, which isn't visited by anyone, luckily, but you still need to somehow lure one of the janitors over so you can take a disguise. Do note that the janitors have guns and will defend themselves if threatened. After getting a janitor outfit, you have access to the entrance area and you can search it to find different circuit boxes. Of course, in operative difficulty, there's an incredibly high chance that at least one of them spawns on the other side of a metal detector, which you need one of the circuit boxes to disable. So on the right door that leads to the security checkpoint, there's a wire on the floor that tells you which color power box you have to disable, and then from there you have to, of course, find said power box and disable it. Now, on operative difficulty, there's an incredibly high chance that that box is on the other side of the door, which means you can't use your gun past it to go and mess with the power box, which is a suspicious action even with a janitor or a tech disguise. Luckily, I didn't have to do that on this run, which means we were able to get through into the security area. Now, our next objective, once in the secure area, is to lure out a guard and take them out and take their outfit. But, just like in the Scientist, this will trigger a 5-minute timer, which, of course, will start an alarm, which means we have to take out the tech room in order to stop the alarms and actually have access to the map. After grabbing our security disguise, which at this point in the story gives us access to carrying bags, weapons, and doing a lot of suspicious things without garnering any suspicion or detection, we'll be able to travel through pretty much the entire map except for the server rooms and the tech room, which is where we're headed to clear right now. So to get the keycard, you have 2 options. Either break into the tech room, which is what I did, or figure out who the lead tech is and take them hostage to get the keycard. I went for the safe because, of course, I'm a thief, and I didn't feel like risking it by trying to lure out techs in this map that has a lot of NPCs, and I mean a lot of them. There's a total NPC count of 3 janitors, 14 security guards, 5 techs, 13 analysts, and the 2 agents, which will always see through your disguise, which in of itself is a lot of people, so I don't want to mess around in the open rooms, and I'd rather conduct basically everything inside of closed off areas where people don't visit. After grabbing the keycard, we can go and complete our objective, which is to hack all 3 servers inside of the building to get information. The first server is going to stop at 50% and ask you to go to one of the analyst's computers and validate the data transfer, which you have to complete, which is a suspicious action. So just pray that it isn't in an open area, or if it is, go at it slowly, because everyone knows that as long as you just stop being suspicious for a second and then keep being suspicious later, everyone's going to be off of your tail. The second generator goes out without a hitch because I took out the control room, but normally it sends a guard. And now the third server. The last server will, of course, stop at 50% and ask you to find something. That item being a USB drive carried by one of the 2 agents on the map, who will always see through your disguise and travel oftentimes around guards. But there is a very slim chance that one of them goes into one of these restricted area rooms that are kind of just these maintenance rooms, and so you're able to corner them in there because if they see you trespassing, then you can knock them out and they didn't see you, but you're also going to get that USB card. After grabbing the USB, I head back to the final server, put it in, and wait for the hack to complete, and then... Oh!
You had finished the whole thing!
I was done! Now, the reason why I included this clip is it just goes to show how little of a mistake you can make and it still has an impact on your run. I walked into the wrong room for 1 second, and that 19-minute run of the SCRS was gone. It was over. Luckily, a few attempts later, I almost made the same mistake, but managed to save myself before it ended up costing me another run, this one only taking about 15 minutes. But luckily, I was able to walk out, walk free, and complete the SCRS.
It's aerodynamic. It's possible. Ah! Ah!
And now it's time for the final mission, Black Dusk. This mission is a test of everything that you learn over the course of the other 7. It is a mission with a time limit, a mission with clearance levels, a mission with, get this, no radios. It is a mission where you need to get into a vault with a code and a keycard. It is a mission where you need to get into a server room by interrogating the technicians. It is a mission where you have to get to the maximum level of clearance and clear out a room of operatives. It is a mission where you begin with a disguise that will get you into the building, and then you have to get a guard outfit. This is a mission that comprises every mechanic that we've seen so far, and it took me 4 hours to complete, over 45 attempts. The mission begins with us posing as a military buyer trying to get whatever technology they're using inside of the base, and we're guided into a shooting range which very conveniently has a gun for us. But we're not even going to pick it up because there is a suppressed pistol on a shelf on the way there, which of course is suppressed, which allows us to kill people at long range without alerting literally everyone in the building. As the base security gets here, they tell us that an elite guard is going to be on their way to meet with us, and that elite guard will be able to see through our basic disguise. Which means that, well, we're going to need another disguise. So I decide to hold up the base security, take him out, and over here is one of the main strategies that I used in this mission. See, the firing range itself is not an area that you can go into, but you can put bags there as long as you jump and you make sure that the spawn point of your bag is right in front of the window. And now is as good a time as any to talk about one of the other mechanics on the Black Dusk, is the fact that there are no radios. There is no signal here, which means that the only way for these guards to lift an alarm is to press one of the panic buttons around the map, which means that even if someone sees you and they're alerted, you have a chance to shoot them and have them not trigger an alarm as long as you can catch up to them. Anyways, after knocking out the first guard, I go and I check again on the door and, well, no one's there. So I figure, you know what, let's just start the mission. It's separated into 3 main parts: the lab, the workshop, and the control room. Each one of these sites requires you to plant 2 bombs in the area that you can get from the vent in the ceiling, which also carries all of your equipment, which includes your lockpick, your gun, and whatever other equipment that you decide to bring. After grabbing elite security, we decide to head over to the programmer area and just get the lay of the map for now, as well as try and start searching files to figure out who the lead programmer is and what the code of the vault is. Luckily, while on our way out of the area, we are in a secluded corner with one of the programmers. I decide I'm going to hold him hostage and interrogate him, but lucky for me, turns out this guy is the lead programmer, and we're able to get the server access card. After grabbing the key card, I head upstairs into the vents where all of the bombs that I need to plant are, and I put them all inside of my main bag. I can carry this bag around because I have elite security clearance, but I can't leave it around, which means that I'll bring it from one objective to another in order to plant the bombs, or I'll just carry it on me while I'm planting the bombs. Before heading back downstairs, I decide to go deal with the camera room, which has 3 permanent guards in it, and also acts as a hallway for other guards to travel through, which means I can't just knock them all out, bag them, put them in an inconspicuous angle, and leave, because people will be walking through this room. So I opt in to slowly lure each one out of the room by using the door trick that I recently talked about, and knock them out behind the door, which means no one will see it, and carry the bag over into the vents, which is a guaranteed safe spot. After taking them all out, you'll notice that the cameras have a gray dot above them, signaling that they are disabled, and I head into my first objective, which isn't the laboratory room, but it's the security room. See, unlike the camera room, this room serves literally no purpose other than being in a buffer to the actual objective zone. So you walk in, shoot everyone, and close the door behind you to make sure no one sees the bodies. And from there you can grab the vault keycard, which is going to be useful for the 3rd objective, and you can head into the next room to plant the first 2 bombs. From here, I once again opt to not bring the bag of bombs, but instead carry them on me, filling my inventory with them. And I head towards the server room, which is going to be the 2nd bomb location for the 3rd and 4th ones. Of course, since I got lucky with the lead programmer, I was able to quickly get in, plant the bombs, leave, and start working on my final objective with 10 minutes to spare. See, this third objective is what is, in my opinion, the hardest. It's the prototype vault that requires a code and a keycard. We were able to get the keycard from the high security room, but the code is only obtainable from vault techs. And so by using the 75% detection method we learned in the withdrawal, I was able to lure one of them into the stairway, which allowed me to take him hostage, interrogate him, and hope that I get the right code. Of course, this is the part where the mission starts to take a bad turn. Base security comes in from the top room and notices what's going on, so I have to dispatch them. And of course, I can't leave the workshop tech as a hostage because he'll just run away, which means that I'm busy bagging bodies up here, and I have to start sneaking the bodies out of the room and into a hiding spot, of which there is one dumpster near the room, and otherwise there really isn't much place to put bodies. Of course, I managed to get the bags out before anyone sees them, and so I'm back to my same luring techs over to the stairs. But before I can do so, there's an elite operative annoying me, so I knock him out and grab the body, but not before a base security also sees me. This is the turning point for the run because I spend quite a bit of time in here trying to deal with all of the bodies. Of course, another workshop tech walks in and I basically have to interrogate him because if I knock out the wrong one, then I won't be able to get the vault code. Luckily, this one did have the vault code, and I was able to knock him out and grab the body. While hiding the bodies, I noticed that one of the techs just walked by without noticing it. But I couldn't really pinpoint any guards that were coming in anyways. So I figured, well, if the run's pretty much dead anyways, why don't I just make a run for it? And make a run for it I did. I, as quickly as possible, made my way to the vault and into the vault, and realized I forgot the bombs, so I, of course, sprinted all the way back up to grab my bag with the C4 in it, headed all the way down to the prototype vault, and planted 2 more bombs. And that means I had planted all 3 objectives on the map, and it was time to complete what I like to call the victory lap, putting down the last 2 bombs on 2 pillars supporting the base. After planting those last 2 bombs, I head into the entrance room, step into the elevator, and watch as the screen blurs and tells me that I've completed Operation Black Dusk. Thank you for watching the video to the end. It means a lot, especially since it's my first, high-effort video that I make. And anything else on my channel doesn't really come close, so I have nothing else to recommend. But I have a promise I can make. If this video gets 500 likes, I will be extending the challenge and completing all of the DLC missions. Other than that, I have nothing more to say, so go ahead, enjoy your day, and if it's late, please get some sleep.